Episode 9. Let's go. Welcome to Shay It With Your Chest. I am Shay. It is December 11th, 2022. I hope this episode is reaching your ears with positive energy and great vibes. Again, I want to take this time to thank all of you guys for all your positive, constructive criticism as I'm working out some shit through this podcast journey. I hope it's helping you as much as it's helping me. This episode has been coming for a long time. I've been really putting in the work to get to this point to discuss these topics. With that being said, I want to issue a trigger warning as some of these topics might be a little disturbing for some of you listeners. If I'm choosing to walk into this new season of my life, I need to get some things off my chest that most people don't know about me. That are kind of a, reflection of the person that I've become. You don't know where you're going unless you know where you've been. And there are things that I have been holding back out of shame or fear of ridicule or for so many reasons that I just felt not ready to discuss these things. And I just think now's the time in order for me to move forward. I have to leave these weights on my chest in the past. So with that being said, I'm just going to go right into it. I was abused as a child, sexually, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, by people entrusted to take care of me. It really made my upbringing very difficult as I was made to feel like I was less than everybody I was around. Like all the kids I grew up with, my brother, my older brother, like I just felt because I was being punished constantly, like I was not worth anything. And that feeling traveled with me through my adolescence. I was raped when I was 16 years old by a classmate's older brother. I didn't say anything about it because I felt like nobody would believe me. At that time, I was diagnosed bipolar. I had attempted to take my own life twice. I was also informed that it would be likely that I might not be able to have children because of the trauma that I endured from that situation. So I was carrying a lot of weight at a very young age of uncertainty. And I dealt with several different afflictions as far as how I chose to deal with the trauma that I endured and didn't understand at that young of an age. I was a bulimic. I was anorexic. I cut myself. I did everything possible to try to just stop the hurt inside of me. I never really told people about what had happened to me. I just internalized all these things and was very destructive in how I chose to handle it. Um, um, what are the odds? I always thought about what I would do if I was to ever face my rapist or any of the people that had abused me when I was a kid. And there was never really an answer. Like, I thought I would go to jail, I thought I, would inflict pain the way that they did on me. And I ran into my rapist in the most unlikeliest of places. I think it was about 15 years later. I was 30 and I was at work at a bar in Sacramento. And it was the end of an open mic night. I remember telling one person about what had happened that night. Dude walked into the bar and I went probably pale. I knew exactly who he was the minute he walked in the door, but I was just in shock. I couldn't believe what are the odds of your rapist showing up 100 miles away from where he took your innocence, and destroyed maybe potentially destroyed your ability to bear children 15 years prior, and he shows up at your work out of all places. What are the odds of that happening? And this dude kept trying to talk to me, which made me believe he had no idea who I was. He had no idea what he had done to me. He had no idea what damage that he had done. And it was crazy because he kept trying to talk to me, and it took everything in my power, I kid you not, to not pick up the nearest bar stool and crack that motherfucker over the head, because that's all I wanted to do. But I knew, like, I was at, I just separated or broke up with my boyfriend. I moved into a studio, and this guy was telling me all about how he had just moved into the neighborhood, and he in fact moved into the apartment complex right behind mine. So that's when I knew I had been waiting for a sign that it was time for me to leave Sacramento. Ain't no better sign than your rapist moving in right behind you. So that's when I moved out of Sacramento. I think that was 2013. And boy, I can't even describe the what are the odds though? And so that's where my you never know mentality comes from, is you just never know, because the odds of that happening are 1,000,000,000 to 1, 1,000 to 1, or I don't know math that well, but just it was shit overwhelming, the fact that that happened, and it made me move forward. But I truly believe that karma comes for us all, and what is done in the dark is brought to the light at some point. So I hope and I pray that everybody who has been responsible to the traumas that I endured will seek and see their just desserts at some point, but it's not my job to give that to them. And I'm really proud of myself for not allowing my emotions to put me in a bad position, because I would have went to jail that night. I really, really know that my traumas, I have done an enormous amount of damage to myself. I treated myself poorly. I looked at myself as if I was nothing. I developed BDD, which is body dysmorphic disorder, where you look in the mirror and you see yourself as something that you aren't, So I constantly never saw myself as beautiful, or I thought I was fat, or I thought I needed to lose weight. So I was constantly working out or not eating, or, just doing destructive shit. Like, I knew and felt like I was worthless. So I let other people make me feel that way too. I got, temporary gratification from men that were in my life that didn't value me as a person or as a woman of substance, or as somebody worth loving. And I accepted the attention that they gave me. Most of my relationships are like that. I feel like I don't think if I had had a healthy upbringing, as far as a traumaless upbringing, I don't think I would have ever been in the relationships that I put myself in. I truly believe that it was just a response to trauma. I've always wanted to feel safe and feel loved by a man, that obviously, I guess, was a difficult task while I was trying to figure out all this shit that I was carrying around. I did get married. I was wholeheartedly in that, and I wanted to be the best wife I could be. I wanted to have a family with my husband, but for whatever reason, maybe it was fate, it just wasn't in the cards, and we separated in 2019, and it was very damning to my spirit because I really wanted to, I thought I had found the love of my life and I was going to be a wife and I was happy with that. I don't think he was happy with me or with being a husband. I'm not quite sure which or both were facts at the time, but um, I did meet somebody in August of 2020 during COVID. Somebody reached out to me that was a mutual friend of somebody I really valued and cared about, thinking that I could be safe with this person because we had somebody mutually connected. He had been going through the same things that I was going through as far as the separation, and he was divorcing, and it seemed like he was somebody that I could relate to, and he related to me, and he made me feel like a woman, and he made me feel wanted, and we talked for hours, and that was the first time in a long time that I felt wanted. And in December of 2020, we met up for the first time, and he ended up impregnating me, and that was terrifying because I didn't think that I'd be able to have children. I never got pregnant by anybody before that. And at that point, I thought that was God giving me a blessing, and I thought that I'd found the man of my dreams and I was about to have a baby, and that's what I've wanted. I got the man and I got the family, but that's not how it turned out. And I had to make a difficult decision and decided to terminate my pregnancy because he seemed like he was all in for it, and then he changed his mind, and then he disappeared. He ghosted me as I was going through the termination process. He told me he would be there, and whatever decision I was making, he would be supportive of it, but he just disappeared. And that was between that and the actual act of me having to make that painful decision, because I always wanted to be a mother, and I felt like if I couldn't be one, it made me less of a woman. So to be in that situation, to see that blue stick, and no, I wasn't ready I wasn't in a predicament or a position to bring a child into this world. And when I say, you don't know what you would do unless you're put in that situation. That is that situation. And it hurt, and it still hurts to this day when I think about it. Excuse me. Like, before that, I never thought I would ever make that choice. But when that was the only option, I had to do what was right. And there was no way I could take care of a child when I was barely taking care of myself and starting my life over again. I feel at this time now I did the right thing, but at the time I thought I was being punished by God. Like, just bad things kept happening. The guy disappeared and I just felt worthless. Like, it just was another instance where I was made to feel like I wasn't good enough and I didn't deserve the respect or the love or just I was undeserving of even an answer or help. So he let me hold the burden of all of that, and that traumatized me. Then I moved to Arizona, and I changed my whole life, and that was huge. I met a couple great people at work. They all seemed like they were genuine people. I invited one of them over to my place. When I finally got one, because I had been living in a hotel for like 28 days. It was a motel, roach motel. It was creepy and gross. Anyway, I invited him over and he took advantage of me in my apartment. I think it was like the second or third night I had moved into it. And I don't really remember what happened. By his accounts, I came on to him And that's definitely not true because I'm just going to be blunt about it. I haven't been attracted to a black man since the Bush administration. So for this dude to tell me, and he was not like that, so for him to try to tell me I came onto him is just completely and utterly outright not true. I know we were drinking, but there's no way I didn't realize what he looked like and who he was. So, yeah, I have had a hard time making relationships since I trusted somebody in my home when I first moved here, and he took advantage of that. So it's been difficult for me to build relationships with anybody. My trust issues are at an alarming rate of caution, and I am just living my best life trying to just remember who I am on my own. It would be really nice to meet a man that wants to keep me safe and loves me enough to want to defend my honor, but I also need to find a man who knows I can defend my own honor as well, and that appreciates the fact that I am a very independent woman and I can handle my own shit. But having a partner who wants to work with me and ride with me is something that I've always wanted. And just knowing what it feels like to be loved and have a man be in love with me, in spite of all my flaws and all my trials and tribulations, because I've worked on them and I've fought to be here. I fought to keep living and believing that there is love out there for me somewhere with somebody who sees my worth and wants to, just keep me safe. That's something I have hope for. And I just want anybody listening to know that with all of the shit that I've been through in my life, I am still here fighting because I believe that there is something better and something at the end of this tunnel. It's been dark for a long time, but I am worth waiting around to see the light at the end of this tunnel, and I just really want anybody that has been going through trauma to get it off your chest. No, you're not to blame. No, you don't need to be ashamed, because that's all I felt. I felt shame. I felt guilt. I felt ugly, and it's just not a way to be. It's not a way to feel when people take advantage of your pureness, your purity, and your heart and your love and your ability to forgive. People will capitalize on all of that, and they will use that against you. A good heart is a weapon, and it could be a good one, and it could also be used against you. So I just want to say, with this heart that is better than it's ever been, because it's been through shit, and it's been shitted on, and it's been broken, and it's been duct taped back together. It's been crazy glued, scotch taped. It's been, it's not in the best condition, but it's in a good condition. And I'm happy to say I get insurance in January, and I'm going to look into seeing if I have any eggs left. If I have a couple, maybe I can make a badass omelet, but if there's some worth freezing, I might try to freeze my eggs to see if I can try to have a child at some point. And maybe I'll find a good man, and I just want that window of opportunity, if it's still available to me, to be able to be a mom. So I'm going to try to do that for myself, because I am working through, and I am a better version of me now than I've ever been. And I deserve one day to be called mom, because I think I'd be a great one. So don't give up on your dreams. Deal with your traumas. Forgive yourself for them, and move forward and keep living in a positive light. Thank you, guys. This is Shay at What Your Chest. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Have a great holidays, and I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Peace.